Hello, everyone. This is David Liebowitz with Philosophy of Video Game Philosophy, and I have my good friend Wesley or Xuanwei Liu here
Oh,
back for a
hello.
second time on the podcast/channel. Would you like to
hmm
introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I am that guy who's very into Chinese philosophy. My father teaches the Book of Changes in China. That's how I learned about all these metaphysics and traditions. So I'm excited to hear about today's content and contribute to the discussion later.
And you've never seen this before, right? Well, this specifically,
No,
I've showed
no.
you a lot. I showed you this a lot of this game.
Yeah, but I never played, and I that's all I know about the game. All
All
those
right.
clips provided by David Liebowitz.
Yes. All right. Let's go. Can you hear?
No.
All right. Wait. You should be able to hear. Wait. Can you hear now?
Oh, there we go.
秋红赭丹，复难双。痴人痴怨恨迷狂，只因那些神肌肤冰火阳。若非经过大千人皆命丧。
What do you make of it so far?
Well, mm, I'll speak highly of the lyric or the script that they put in, right? It's very neatly poetic, and the vocabulary they use is in the same genre, so it's pretty good. I like it so far.
Okay, you do like it? All right.
但愿茫茫千缘草，天人散去江湖了。蛛丝付绝兰柯桥，须弥红巾了。可贵不见杏花表，蛛丝望结魂翻飘。荧光红尘渺渺，烟消。神女劈冠到这里本该接近尾声，但今日我再添一笔，唱与诸位听。世道未必言不实，自有知音和情思。功名烈烈见了心，只知无头绪。爱情。彼时鹤归，茫茫天地无依靠，孤身离去。今日再会，新朋旧友坐满堂，共聚此时。
So what do you think?
Wow, that was lovely. So
What did
there's
you think about the music first? I mean, what
the
what did
music
you
itself.
expect a video game to a Chinese video game to bring back Chinese opera?
Well, this is definitely a higher effort. This is definitely a whole other level of effort and um, what do I say, delicacy into it. I think they've done their research and they've created something that's very how should I say that's matching the content that they're providing in their worldview and stories. So yeah, it's pretty good, pretty good.
But
And there's three components that the lyric has mentioned. The first part is about, how should I say, redemption. The second part would be about uh, serendipity, or maybe you can call it destiny or something like that. And the last part is about purification. It's about how to purify from a sin world or something like that. Yeah, I can see the paragraphs aligned very neatly, and then also they've used a different how should I offset in rhyme. So that's, yeah, nice. I like it.
all right, so I guess how should we? Okay, I guess we should maybe first base it off of just what's in that song, and then do you want to see? So like, there's not it's not a twist, but it's more that um there's some slight change to I I forget exactly if what happens, but that whole opera is based on an actual character in the game. Not the character
Mm.
singing it, but the character. It's Shenhe. I sent you
Yeah, the
the
heroine. Uh-huh.
yeah
神女,
Shenhe
神女. Yeah, it
Shenhe.
will be like immortal female
Mm,
or a
Shenhe.
divine female. 神 literally means God, and
Mm.
女would mean female or girl or feminine
I thought it's. I mean, it's her.
or
I mean,
something
they
like that.
say Shenhe, like her. I thought it's her. Like, is it you?
That would be the name, but in the song they refer to her as 神女,
Oh.
or in a title, it's called 神女,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
breaking the coffin.
All right. So I guess, but based on the song alone, because the song alone, what do you make of the whole of the contrast between, I guess, the world of the xian and the world of the humans, and how I guess the character is able to balance them, is
Mm.
able to sort of, or would you like more context about the actual character?
Uh, Context would be nice, but I think I still have something to share for a little. I think
All
in
right.
the second paragraph, when they talked about the destiny of mortals and the destiny of immortals, they used two different adjectives. The one for mortals um was something like, it's so grand that people wouldn't be able to take it so easily, right? It comes with a lot of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
But the destiny for the immortals are so grand as well, but thicker, to the extent that they have to do something about it. It's not something that's so simple or straightforward or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, like, let me try to explain this better. For the mortals, is that they couldn't resist at all. This is just, but the how should I say? The destiny is so simple, right? You can see it, you can understand it, but you couldn't resist it, right? It's destined. But for immortals, their destiny is harder to see, but they have a say.
I think that, I mean, we
Something
talked
like
about a
that.
little bit about the whole deal with Morax or Zhongli, and how how the Qian, or the adepti in English, role was sort of to go away, is sort of to not be as, is sort of, their role is waning. I mean
Mm,
the role is waning, and I think like the end, the point of Shinhe, is that is that she, I mean, she helps. Basically, when I mean, I can show you it. Basically, what happens at the end of that opera is added. I don't think there is a little part of her story that's changed, I think, in the opera. Because it's more changed because
mhm.
it's not known. Like, I think, did it come off that that the that the young girl bravely stood up to the enemy when she was young? That she was
They
brave.
didn't quite mention the age. Maybe they
No, not about
hinted
the age,
upon
but
it
no, that
slightly.
she was brave did she come off as brave?
Oh yeah. Well,
That is
there
so
was a
that is
part saying that she was the heroine. Well, only because of her, they were able to like resolve the calamity.
yes, that's true.
Mhm.
But the whole point
Yeah,
is
that's also mentioned in the song.
there's a little thing that's changed, that this does lead to the curse. In the actual story, I mean, in game, the
Hmm.
girl was thrown out by her parents because she was cursed, so they thought she'd be dead.
Uh,
Yeah, I'll show you the scenes. Well, we can,
all right.
if you want the context, if not, we can just. Do you want the
Sure,
context? Do you want the context?
sure.
But let's continue based
Hmm.
on, again, let's still break. We're still break down. We're breaking down songs here now, so let's still take as much as we can from the song as we can, itself.
Hmm. All right.
But I mean, with outside of that, what was I getting at? But I guess the notion of, what about the symbolism? What is the crane? What is the crane in China? What is the symbolism of that? Like
The
that symbolize.
symbolism of crane is often related to Buddhism or Taoism,
Mhm.
that when you die, you would you would ride onto a crane and you would fly away to the west, right? That's a euphemism for death, and also a romanticized version for someone who's so brilliant and wise that that's the uh, posthumous life that they can get.
Mhm.
Um, but crane on its own would mean something like elegance,
Mhm.
high hierarchy, or
Mhm.
like higher uh, position, and would be something else, purity,
Mhm.
right? Or freedom, right? The freedom not as in dove or in like other birds, but they represent a freedom that's at ease,
Mhm.
right? Like normally when you are lazy or you don't have much to do, you're not burdened by obligations.
Mhm.
You would hang out with a crane, or
Mhm.
that you will be you will be attracted or attract crane.
Mhm. I guess then what is the use? Because there's two cranes at least. There's Cloud Retainer and Mountain Shaper, and I tried to find I forgot the names in Chinese, but Shenhe is adopted by Cloud Retainer. Basically,
Mm,
she's a human mortal that is sent off, and she's cast off,
uh-huh.
either bravely in the opera or not bravely in the actual story. She
Mm,
fights off this sort of like this god zombie, basically, and
mm-hmm,
and and then she's adopted by Cloud Retainer, who then
mm-hmm,
gives her trains her in the arts of the xian or adepti, and she becomes like all powerful, and
mm.
with the power of the power of these like esoteric arts. And
Oh,
she lives basically as an immortal. She lives away from society, and I guess you see
oh,
at
I
the
see.
end is that she basically like comes and fights off, and and is able to sort of learn her have her place back in society through helping people, because like there is
Mm-hmm,
something about, I'll show this, but that she has red strings around her heartstrings, because
mm-hmm,
apparently she got into a cold-blooded rage.
mm.
So basically she's very her emotions are very blunted,
I see.
because apparently there's some reason that's, I guess that relates to her curse.
Her curse. What was her curse?
I think that might be the context might be helpful,
Okay.
but I guess she's meant to have brought calamity. But of course, in the end, she actually
Oh.
brings harmony. I mean, she helps fight off the evil, the water god's wife. That was the water dragon that they fought at the end. That's Aziel's wife. Um,
Mm. I see.
so I guess what do you make of that? I guess again, like how what is the relationship between humans and mortals humans and xian in actual Chinese mythology or Taoism, or is it
Well,
happy or is it not happy?
it'll be
Especially maybe one xian that are animals.
xian that's animals.
or just xian in general, or xian in general?
Well, if they were animals, they wouldn't be xian. They would be monsters.
Oh, they were monsters. Oh,
Yeah,
so
they'll be monsters.
so xian
Hardly ever any like animals will be a benign immortal, right? Even for plants, many plants aren't so benign. They're quite vicious, but
all
some
right.
of them are
Well,
better.
what about
But
so the relationship
but
between
human immortals will be another story. Well, of course, there will be evil ones and those ones that brings justice, right? The benign ones, the good, the better ones.
what about the more like the fox spirits and stuff? What about like
Fox spirit?
yeah, okay, so I think this is where it goes more shamanistic. That might be more
Well,
shamanistic.
if it's about fox, the common understanding of fox will be that they are symbols of mm,
Calamity, chaos.
yeah, calamity, not quite, but
Well, Daji, I mean Daji.
yeah, daji, that would be, yeah, it will be something about adulteration. So,
All right, but I
some,
guess what about do you think maybe that they why they made animals gods in this? Do you think that they're trying to get at sort of like the relationship between humans and nature in general? How is that? Isn't that how is that that might
oh, so you're saying that in the story they're making a lot of animal gods, basically,
a lot of
animal
the I mean
immortals.
there's also yakshas from Buddhism, but I mean
Uh,
Zhongli is still an adepti, so I mean as Zhongli is in a qian
mhm.
in actual China. Well, I mean,
Right. So,
but
now that has reminded me
I mean,
something.
I
In
thought
Journey to the
I thought
West,
yeah, but
in
before
Journey to
that,
the West, there's many animal gods, but they're like
Wukong. I mean, Wukong.
subordinates of these human gods, right? Most of them
I mean,
are basically
technically,
right.
the adepti are all the subordinates of Zhongli. They're all
Adepti?
they're the adepti are the qian. Their English name is adepti. They go by
Oh, okay.
they didn't want to use they for some reason didn't want to use qian in English, so they call them
Oh,
adepti. But
okay, okay.
the qian, all the qian are subordinates to Zhongli.
Mm-hmm. I see.
And I mean,
But Zhongli was a dragon, right?
Zhongli has a
Wasn't he?
dragon form. Yes,
Uh-huh.
he has a
Oh,
dragon form.
okay.
I think that his god form is a dragon. Yes.
Okay. So dragon is something that's very imaginative and it is supreme for sure. It is supreme.
I mean,
Even
well,
in many mythologies from China, dragon will be something that symbolizes supremacy, authority, um, wealth,
but
how should I say, smoothness and
Zhongli's in
things
the
like that.
Zhongli's the is chill. He watches a he's I mean he's in reality just is a funeral parlor owner. Like he's living his life as a mortal
Okay, okay,
walking
I see.
through the
I think
streets.
yeah, you've
But
told me this before.
the other Qian are the ones that are more not at peace with the people of Liyue.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to answer your question earlier about mortals' relationship with immortals. Um,
That's I mean we're
Normally,
trying to build up to that right now. We're trying to build up to that.
okay. So what's going on is that mortals would fear gods or xian because of their nature, because they're just simply too powerful. But at the same time, in their prayers, if you don't do good things for people, of course they're not gonna pray for you. They're not gonna pray to you. So you have to be, in a way, you have to be public servants to earn your
That public
respect.
serve that's exact and that's the is how the adept how the Yeptetai or the Qian are relates like that at the end of the day they still come and serve as they come and save Liyue the first
Uh-huh.
time, and then the second
Right,
time
right.
it's
But at
the
the
second
same
time it's
time, if
Shenhe, and then the second time it's the closest thing outside of Ganyu's just with the humans. She's a Qilin and
Mhm.
she's
Right. So,
she's
but outside of that, if they ever if any if any mortal actually meet with an immortal, they will fall in tremendous fear because simply because of the power. There are many stories saying that, oh, okay, they had a good relationship. the mortal asked for something and it was granted by the immortal, or sometimes that the moral of the immortals is very bizarre, right? They don't care about many like things in mortal life.
Mhm.
So what they will do will be reckless, immoral, unethical, and things like that. All right. They don't treat life as something so important, especially mortal life. They don't treat these people as equals for sure.
All
And
right,
problems will
we should.
emerge from there.
All right, I think we're gonna have to close the Zoom for at the moment and make a new Zoom. And when we when we get back on recording, I will have um some context about Shenhe. All right.
Sure.
All right. All right.
All right.
Wait, first. All right, we are back. All right, we are ready to show Wesley Shenhe's actual story.
Huh. What's this?
It's in English. Doctors, the doctors, yeah. The doctors, my heart bleeds whenever I see you getting wearier, your illness beyond treatment. How I wish I could suffer the pain for you. You said you had no regrets in this life and that you only wish for me to take good care of Shenhe. If you regret nothing, why the tears? I don't know what I've been doing lately. But I still breathe. I feel like an empty shell. I've read all the ancient texts I could get my hands on looking for every ways to save you, but it's utterly futile. I finally found it. It was Mingjun. He had kept the book that it could save you hidden. I took it, followed his instructions, summon a god and offer a sacrifice. The god appeared. I told him that I was willing to exchange my life for yours. He kept silent and only pointed at our daughter Shenhe. The god said her fate was to bear the course of calamity and that she was prone to bring harm close to her. The god also said that she might even have been the cause of your death. In that case, I thought I should. I left her in the cave that God mentioned. 3 days had passed and still no news. I grew restless from waiting, seized by an ominous feeling. I'm sorry, my love. Forgive me. You too, Shenhe. Please, forgive me. How stupid I was, how blind. Let me apologize to both of you in your person. What do you think about that?
Who's writing this letter?
I think. Alright.
So, Shenhe is the divine damsel? Now that I think about it, she does behave rather like an adeptus, and she is about the right age. So that's why I've been getting the strangest feeling whenever I chat with her. I should have noticed it earlier. According to this text, the divine damsel from the opera was actually the daughter of the loving couple. And she didn't volunteer. She was sacrificed to the monster by her own father. Oh. The truth is even more lamentable than the opera. Now I understand why Shenhe said the girl was not as brave as people think. It wasn't her choice to enter that ghastly situation. She was forced into it. Oh. It looks like my father may need to make a few revisions to his beloved opera. So
that
it seems
element, if we may pause.
What? Yes.
That element of father or parent sacrificing child for a divine, glorious purpose is quite common.
Tell me more.
In China, well, in myth and in history, this is what happens. Even some recent productions, maybe in the past 10 years, 15 years, like in those famous online fictions where people talk about a bizarre world with magic and Numa, right? They were able to talk about similar stories that
Noma, you said?
for
Noma? You said Noma?
Numa,
Yeah, Numa. Yeah,
Numa.
I know
So
about
like yeah, like a special kind of
I know,
energy
yeah.
that
They're actually
resides in you.
yeah, they're actually using that in Fontaine in the French region.
Oh, really?
Numa and Osea are the
Mm.
like there's two elements. I don't know exactly how that actually relates to it, but they just threw a lot of cool mythology and symbolism, a bunch of different things into that French region. But we're here because I'm here. We're here right now for the Chinese stuff. So, even though
Right.
it feels like even the Chinese symbolism might actually seep into the places that's not even Chinese. But
Yeah.
in this game, this probably does. But
Mhm.
tell me more.
So in the story, well, apparently the life of Shenhe is one of that kind that she was sacrificed by parental authority to and submitting her and basically their daughter to a higher authority for a glorious purpose. So this purpose would be in a grand narrative of the entire society, or at least that specific civilization. And we have to notice that this is different from what a Western society would think of individuals and their relationship to the world, right?
Yes.
Over here,
do you
the
want to bring in some
association
your
will be,
knowledge from cultural psychology from cross-cultural? Do you want to bring that in?
yeah. So over here, the main difference would be the relationship between well, our understanding or conceptualization or the philosophical highway or whatever you call it about how people understand themselves and their life, their purpose in relation to themselves, others, and the world, or the civilization, or society, or something like that. Right? There's these three relationships that you can seek to, or three kind of relationships that you can put in a domain. Right? The relationship to self is somewhat similar, but in Eastern society, the control of self will be significantly less than the clarity we can see in Western society. Many people would understand themselves in a very elegant way that I am just this, and that, seeking for this, and that. For Eastern society, those will be rarer qualities to have. But instead, they will know their purpose in relation to others, right? They will know that what myself mean to others, right? Or at least I will know what myself mean to others, and my brother will know how they are meaningful to my parents, to me, to their classmates, to right other people, right? They will understand themselves in these roles and in these characters, but they don't just role play, right? It's not simply role playing. They actually incorporate that kind of identity within themselves, not in a way that, oh, well, now I have to play this script. Well, I'm meant to feel like that for a youngster, maybe in their adolescent age, in the age of um, puberty. That's when they're so rebellious. That's when their sense of self are aggrandized and swelled, basically, right? But after that period of time, they would have a more comprehensive understanding to themselves and it and the relationship to others, right? They're contextualizing themselves in specific ways, but at the same time, not really losing themselves. They would understand every character as if they are themselves, and they are themselves. They are these characters at the same time, right? And for a greater purpose, we often talk about our relationship or this family and its relationship to a greater society, to something bigger that's beyond them, and they will know their purpose in relation to these context, right? So Western society will be more decontextualized. Many skills are cultivated as if they are discrete sets of skills, But for Eastern society, many skills are developed in relation to society, as if they are more of a social practice, a
Yes.
social skill, rather than like discrete personal ability or capacity or things like that, right?
Now, how does
So,
that relate to, I guess, back to the story? I mean, I feel like people
so in the
generally do.
story,
I feel like people do
the
know collectivism
sacrifice.
is the sacrifice. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, right. So the sacrifice made by the father would be justified, right? It wouldn't be something that's immoral. It wouldn't be something that's really depriving the life of the younger child. Though for sure that's definitely trauma, right? We can see that as trauma, but the trauma has worth, right? They would calculate that.
Mhm.
Not really in a toxic way, but if we value the grand narrative higher than ourselves, higher than this family, higher than anybody's personal life,
Mhm.
then it will make a whole lot of sense,
Mhm.
right?
Do we
So in
want to
this,
continue? Do we want to continue, or
sure,
or
I
is there
think we
anything?
said enough about that notion.
Seems that Shenhe's father thought he was summoning a benevolent deity using a magic incantation. But in fact, he summoned an evil god's remains, which took the form of a monster.
I guess what do you make of that? Is that also in Chinese mythology?
Mm, yeah, demonizing rival. Yeah, that's a very common element, I think, in any mythology.
Okay.
His obsessive yearning for his deceased wife led to a terrible tragedy. The villagers moved away in fear, without ever learning the truth. And now, this place is deserted. Still, I do wonder what the connection is between Shenhe and Mingjun.
One year when I was back visiting, I heard a story about a white-haired adeptus from a merchant passing by. I never imagined it was you. I was a very close friend of your father's. I could have stopped him from performing the summoning ritual. I had plenty of chances, but I couldn't bring myself to stand up to him. I just let things happen, let it all escalate. And, well, we all know how that story ended. I bring flowers back here every year. And each time I wish I had a chance to apologize to you.
Apologize for what? If you'd stopped him, he'd only have found another way. There is nothing he wouldn't have done for his true love. Nothing.
Do you still hate him?
I don't know what I feel. I'm told my fate is to bear the curse of calamity, so my master bound my soul with red ropes to curb my aggression. But it also dampened my emotions, making me dispassionate, like the adepti. So if you ask me how I feel about the past, if I hate my father or not, the truth is, I feel nothing at all.
That's very collectivist, isn't it? That she doesn't actually care. Well, I mean, there's context around
It
it,
feels
but
like there was a change, right? They simply took away their emotions. So I guess they're
yes, yeah.
leaving.
It's not just, oh, I'm happy my father almost tried to kill me. Almost, it's more her emotions were taken away, but the fact that she doesn't isn't the fact that she doesn't resent her father.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
very
that
collectivist.
Yes.
Yeah, they're submitting themselves and their personal lives to a grand narrative, right?
But I guess the question is still, I guess, maybe how she lives in herself in the narrative. There is also something about I asked the question about the difference between the opera and the actual story. Again, or at least simply what actually happens when she actually, because she adds a revision. Eugene adds the ending of the story, which I'll show you what actually happens with that. With her fighting the water monster, but I don't. But either way, at least in the original opera, the fact that she volunteered, and in this one, isn't that even more collective? Oh, I volunteered to fight the monster as opposed to I was sacrificed to fight the monster.
Say that again.
What do you think of the difference between the opera that's thought of the opera where she's volunteers and the actual story where she's sacrificed. What do you think of that dissonance?
Oh, that doesn't. Oh well, this is quite common in Eastern society as well, even in modern society. And there's many times that I would really just be sacrificed by my class to get on the stage and do the presentation.
And they say
But
you
then
volunteered.
everybody will pray. No, I am volunteered by my class and everybody, right? And now we have that word in our dictionary called volunteered. But still,
is that
right?
not is that not is that
This
not
is a
originally a
common
word in China?
phenomena, but they would still somehow they don't praise your generosity. They would praise your bravery, even if everybody would know it's fake. But in a narrative, generosity would presuppose a lot of vicious activity or evil activity within the community. But then if you select bravery instead, then everybody is on the same team. We're still together, right? We're still united, at least through words. So
What do you think of
this is how I
Shenhe's?
understand
Is there anything authentic about Shenhe's design? Anything?
I find it familiar. I find this persona very familiar. That there's
I mean,
many, how should I say,
she's
cool
certainly
girls.
wearing pants, which is I feel like not traditional, but
Oh yeah, it's like a Lululemon.
it's like Lululemon. It's like Lululemon. It's like Lululemon.
Yeah,
But maybe
yeah,
what about
but
the upper waist of it? But I mean that maybe it's
well,
also
the
this,
coloring is very Eastern, right? The little flower at navel level is very Eastern.
what about
The
Eugene?
tassel,
Yeah, the tassel. What about Eugene?
well, that motif on your cursor is very common. It's like a classic motif. And the coloring, right, black and gold, is a symbol of authority, firmness, things like that.
Mm.
And gray would mean something that's more uh amiable, I would say, or distant, right? It can mean both ways. And having a cloud at the back would probably mean that it's more distant, that it's a symbol of their immortality, something like that.
It must have been so tough for you all these years.
Shenhe, we're back!
Oh, then I will leave you all in peace. Shenhe, it brings me some solace knowing that you are okay. I'll tell you more about the old times next time we meet.
Thanks, mister. We found some info in the end. Shenhe, look. This tells us how to find Symbrozium. All we gotta do is go to the middle of that lake.
Let's go then.
Miss Shenhe, there's something I'd like to talk to you about. Just now, in the village, we found your father's diary. It turns out that many of the details in the divine Damsel of Devastation are not true to the facts. So I'd like to change them.
Why?
I know I say that opera always deviates from the truth, but now that the main character is standing right here in front of me, I cannot simply dismiss your lived experience in favor of my father's fiction.
It's okay. I like your version.
But, huh?
My master once said that the day I learn how to use my strength for the good of others is the day that I can truly become part of human society. So, I hope that one day I might be brave enough to stand up and protect others, just like the girl in the opera. But I've never thought this way before, and I wonder whether I will continue to think in this way.
Don't worry. I believe you will. In fact, I think maybe you've already started to become the person you aspire to be. You just haven't had the opportunity to see it for yourself yet.
Shenhe, Yunjin, cut the chit-chat. Let's go.
All right. What do you think about that? Now this seems even more collectivist.
Yeah, right. Well, the collectivism is obvious, so I think we already spent enough time talking about that.
But I guess what about the
there is something that there
animal,
is some
what about the
detail that
animal
I really
component?
want to pick out.
Is it the animal
Right.
component?
So I think it will be confusing slightly for us to understand why Shenhe actually felt glad about the story, right? So this will link to the metaphysics of serendipity or destiny, right? It has to be something that's educating people to become more benign, to become more fortunate. So they're making their lives more fortunate by understanding how these events are associated with their past experience and their current emotion, their wisdom, their capacity, intelligence, things like that. So for Shenhe, in the beginning, of course, she would feel betrayed. She would feel that she was traded out for a sacrifice, for a war that she didn't want to fight. But then she started understanding it, as the master has said, right? She started linking herself with the collective society. And this story, this fiction in the past, may have bothered her for a while, but then she deems that as something bad of, right? She's happy about it. She likes it. So in a way, she's trying to contextualize this story with her own life in a way that it's helpful for her to understand her position in life. And she started viewing herself as truly a brave heroine in that society, and started to pick up those responsibilities that the society has imposed on her. But now it's not imposed anymore because she actually thinks of it that way. This may sound like manipulation of society, but know that manipulation may not be the only answer to these type of phenomena.
All right. But also, what about the whole animal component? Because I thought animality in China is seen as much more positive and more cooperative. So the fact
Yeah,
that the curse,
right.
that the whole point is there's seemingly some sort of, I don't know if it's Western, but that there's the notion of, okay, that she remains an individual in a way, as away from society, living with the crane cloud retainer, while she then, when she can finally become part of society again, she can be cooperative and be a collectivist. It seems
So
though Shenhe was already a collectivist because she was still basically doing everything for Cloud Retainer. So
right, but well, I mean, in many Chinese stories or myths, fairy tales, if someone becomes an animal, normally it would mean afterlife, or that they're released from the general society. They're free. They're set free, basically,
mhm.
right? So that's the common understanding. I'm not sure how to incorporate that kind of idea in this story
What
in
about Wukong?
particular.
Wukong, I feel like, is a similar of an animal that sort of learns to help society. He's a more selfish, more ADHD, and then he learns Bodhisattva.
Right.
I mean, the monkey in the mines, as you could say.
Well, I figured that Wukong is not as ADHD as we think on the surface, right? I think he has way better political aptitudes or ability than Tang actually. Right? He was actually the one who can understand the project that the Taoist tradition, the Buddhist tradition, and the heaven are doing, right? As a whole project, they're trying to do this project for control, for
So not
political.
going at full change, you think Journey of the West is actually about uniting Taoism and Buddhism, not just saying, oh, bad Taoism, Buddhism.
No, it's still war.
It is their war.
It's still war. A Journey to the West is very anti-religious.
Yeah. It's anti-Buddhist as well.
Yeah, for sure. They're picturing the Buddha as a vicious politician who's just so egotistical and hypocritical.
Sorry, my internet went out. This should hopefully be the last time. All right, we'll do Shenhe's final scene that inspires the opera, and then I'll show Wesley's Shenhe's character demo in Chinese if he wants. So yeah, that will be in Chinese. So
Sure.
you can watch the demo on your own. I feel like you might as well show the character in Chinese to Wesley. So. Wait, is that in Chinese or Japanese?
That's Japanese.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
存在自体が周りに危険をもたらす。お前は生来そういう運命なのだ。彼女の命と引き換えにこのまま死んでくれれば。
他人のため力を使いたいと思った。
That's the crane. That's Cloud Retainer.
時、人間社会にも溶け込むことができるだろう。
What do you think about that? Especially the little flashback where she remembers her father and then Cloud Retainer.
So that's a very common script for sure for all kinds of stories. It creates the drama. I didn't sense anything else from. Oh man, I didn't sense anything else apart from what we have already talked about.
Would you like me to show you the demo?
Sure.
All right, this is the absolute last time. I'm not going to stop this video now because every time I stop the video, it stops. So we're just going to keep on going until the end and we'll see what you think.
Sure.
"难怪最近妖邪横行，原来是你在背后搞鬼，束手就擒吧！" 冰泪随行，你是？
妖邪最善伪装，不可大意。 神。妖邪躁动是灾殃将至的预兆，莫非真如师傅所言？
多谢小姐出手相助。我看你方才所用的驱魔法术，与我自幼学习的方术有些相似，不知你是？
我名申鹤，山野之人，不足挂齿。比起这个，你身体似乎很烫，不要紧吗？
啊，差点忘了我的冰棍儿。等等，申鹤，难道说你是我的小姨
Did you get anything from that?
Yeah, so what happens is that Shenhe realizes there's so many monsters coming to life recently in this region, and that will be a foreshadowing of the calamity. And then she's suspecting that what her master has said might be true. And also at the end, the little boy mentioned that, oh, your name sounds familiar. Oh, wait a second, you might be my how should I? Yeah, you might be my auntie. Yeah, right. They ended on that notion.
So what do you think? Does this add to anything? I mean, I guess.
Yes, there was something interesting that I would like to add on.
What about first
when
what about the music? Was it the music? I mean, there's a lot of not voice. It was just really just music was playing while stuff was being shown. What do you think? Did you pay attention to that at all?
Yes, I did, but I don't know much about music, so I
Yeah, so
wouldn't speak much.
but did it feel authentic or no?
Yeah, it feels quite how should I say it feels Eastern, right? But not quite Chinese, maybe slightly Japanese. I'm not sure.
It did have a slight Japanese feeling to it. Okay. Now we can stop the chair.
Gamey feeling.
Of course, it's gaming. All right.
So, what's going on in the first part when Shenhe has rescued the child? She warned him that what did she warn? She warned him for a little bit, but I forgot the exact term, but it felt like she was really talking about. Oh yeah, she said that you have to be very careful because these monsters are great at deception. And this is really a warning towards the narrative. Like they're not really talking about this monster in particular or this type of monster, but rather they're Shenhe is really communicating or situating the boy in a narrative, and they're valuing these monsters as a social phenomenon, as a cultural phenomenon, rather than an individual separate event. So that might be a little harder for Western players to understand or to catch.
Why so?
Because they will just understand it as a separate incident, or someone who's more experienced telling a beginner for what would be important to look at, right? But over here, it's not only that, they're also communicating on how they understand the world, not only this part of or like not only this monster or this type of monster, or that they have to fight monsters, but the perspective that they're taking,
Mhm.
the stance that they're making, and the type of ideas that they should keep on the back of their mind to solve these problems or to
Mhm.
fight the monster, things like that, right? It's a little more, how should I say, thick, I would say.
Mhm.
It's thicker.
Was there anything that felt more authentic about it, about hearing that in, I guess, Chinese versus Japanese or English?
Um, well, the Chinese definitely sounds nice, and I really like the Japanese voiceover as well. But it
Did you like the
creates a
English? Did
different.
you like the English or no?
The English was fair. I think it's more authentic than the Japanese, but
Do you think
the Japanese
you think the
version
English
has
is
a
more
different
authentic? Like,
vibe.
do you think the English is more authentic than the Japanese?
Uh, I couldn't say that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
the
couldn't say
Japanese
that.
would probably be more authentic. I feel like it's still more
Yeah,
authentic.
right, but it feels different for sure, right? The Japanese voiceover has their own unique style that I think they changed the personality, or at least the presentation of the personality of these characters a little bit.
Mhm.
But I think the English translation did it even further.
Mhm. Well, the English translation of Genshin is definitely very interesting, especially what they do to Paimon.
I see.
I get, yeah, I
I
think
see.
and literally every child character, making them very, very in for the people who like that kind of stuff. Um,
Okay.
the child, yeah, it's not,
I
it's a
see.
little, it's a little iffy, but especially
Hmm.
Paimon's voice just going higher and higher and higher. Apparently, as the dub goes, Paimon's
Okay.
Paimon's voice. But
Okay.
yeah, it's weird.
Hmm.
I mean, I still think it's good. I mean, either way though, is there, and then there is Korean, but whatever. There's some, honestly though, there are some, sometimes the Korean actually does sound really good, but
Mm.
either way, what I guess now we bring it back together. What do we think about Shenhe, and I guess how it relates to the Divine Damsel of Devastation, the opera? I guess, what do you put everything together with her about this character in relation to the calamity, and this, like,
Mm.
this whole calamity, this, what is the notion of the calamity?
Mm. So he's designed to bring calamity to the world, but at the same time, she is the solution to it. At least
Mm,
she's trying to be the solution to it. She was volunteered in the past, and but valued through bravery in a in a in an opera. But then she reconciliates that fake self with her true self by doing service to the society, by
mhm,
connecting herself with the society and revealing what her master has once said or advised her, and she continues to do that kind of work and had new encounters. So I
I
think.
guess, how does that relate to the notion of, like, individuality? Like, would you say that Shenhe is, like, exemplifies the no self? I
The
mean,
no
there's no way
self.
to exemplify in Buddhism. Everyone just has no self, but I guess, does Shenhe exemplify just really having no self because she has no emotions or real desires?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, it
should
could
have be
be
seen as, or should
because
have be?
she started observing her own life instead of really living it. She knows that she's aware of all these projects, all these obligations that she's interested of, but
Mhm.
at the same time, she doesn't care.
Is that a positive though for the Chinese? That she has no emotions and no real desires. I mean, that isn't that the goal? Is that one say is, or at least a stereotypical version of
It's
Buddhism,
really
that they have
hard
no.
to say whether it's positive or negative because it's complicated. It's more complex than that, right? First of all, we can say that we will value highly of her understanding of responsibility and the service that she has done. But at the same time, we would pity for her insensitivity of
Mm,
life.
So the fact that she sort of, I guess, learns to warm up and be a person more towards that her humanity sort of comes to her when she enters the society, that she doesn't just become a willing cog in the machine. She actually gains in a way more individual.
In some way, I would say that she did actualize herself.
Yes, she actualized herself by being part of the society.
Right.
And she actually gained more humanity. And more humanity by being part of the society. In a way, even more individuality by being part of, which I feel like fits the dualism that you about the holistic portion of the Chinese self. All right, I'm not gonna do one more thing. So we have one more. We have less than a minute. So it was great having you, Wesley.
Oh, thank you so much. Always, anytime.
All right. Yes, we'll see if we want to bring you back for Azdaha, or I guess a more full discussion of the Xian and Genshin when I do some, especially that Dream of the Butterfly quest.
Oh yeah, that would intrigue me. I have to
exactly.
read a little to contribute more.
All right.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista.